Hi, do you happen to have bits all over the place like I did? Let's build a simple cabinet to store all the bits. Here are the measurements and also the cut list. So I didn't want anything too wide, so I went with 6 inches in width. Please be safe in the shop. Definitely wear your PPEs and also stand to the left side away from the possible kickbacks. Be sure to roll up your sleeve or wear short sleeve shirts, and also be sure to have your blade guard and riveting knife attached. So I decided to go with 6-inch width for the box frame, and because that'll give me some room and some space on the workbench where I will have this cabinet located. Here I am cutting up 20 inches by 6 inches. Cut 2 of those. That will be for the top and the bottom. And then 3 pieces that will be 28 inch by 6 inches. And that will be the 2 sides and the divider. Since I'm cutting the pieces to length, you can use a stop block for repeat cuts. But I just went ahead and stacked them together and cut the pieces all together with a miter saw, which made it much easier for me. Now you can build a box using the corner clamps to keep it squared, or you could use longer clamps to keep it in place, but I did not have any longer clamps. And you can also use what they call is a strap clamps to keep it all together as well, which I didn't have any available. So I went ahead and just used the corner clamps. So I used wood glue, 2-inch brad nails, and also 2-inch screws to keep it secured. One of the ways that you can find out if your box is nice and squared, you can also check it by measuring diagonally from one corner to the other corner. The measurements should be the same. Here I am attaching with the 2-inch brad nails. In each corner, I use 2 brad nails. They're all 2 inches each. And then I also attach about 2 screws, and they are also about 2 inches as well. Prior to adding the screws, I've also drilled some pilot holes. So I'm a visual person, so I brought out one of the items that I'm planning on putting inside the cabinet, took the measurements, and added maybe 1 millimeter or 2 additional space inside just in case I change my mind and I want to add something else in there, so there will be plenty of room for other items. So this area is approximately 7.5 inches wide. After marking the location of where I plan to secure the divider inside, I made sure I added extra lines in the middle, so that way once I put it in place, it'll line up together using butt joints. I measured top and bottom. As you can see, I have the lines going down, so that way once I put the backer on, this will be really helpful. And I secured it with brad nail and also screws. I added 1 screw on each side, and I ended up flipping the box over and added another screw on the other side. On each side, I added 2 screws along with 2 brad nails to keep it in place and secured. Now that it's all secured, I decided to add my favorite color into the build. I added 7.5 inch long and 6 inch width to fit right in the middle. This will add extra support, and I secured it with brad nail on both sides. During this time, I totally forgot to turn on my shop vac. As you can see, it gets really dusty, so that's why it's so important to wear your PPEs. Now it is time to cut the backer and the door for this cabinet. They measure 29 1/8 by 20 inches. Again, these are 1/2 inch. I remember to turn on my shop vac this time. As you can see, there is less sawdust flying in the air. At this time, I was just trimming down the edges to make sure I have the proper measurements for the door. Now that we have everything cut to the measurements we wanted, now it's time to add the backer to the cabinet. I may have overdone it with the bread nails, but I would rather be safe than sorry. So this is the reason why I drew the lines along the sides when I secured the divider. I needed to make sure the divider is secured to the backer. I know some people usually just draw lines right in the middle, but for me, it keeps the nail gun upright, and I know for sure it's hitting the divider board directly as well without shifting the nail gun. Before attaching the door, I want to add 2 pieces of small scraps. This will go on the top and the bottom so I can attach the sliding hardware to it. These are 20 inches by 1 3/4, and these are 1/2 inch plywood. Then I attached it to the cabinet with wood glue and bread nail, making sure my fingers are not too close to the tip of the bread nail. That is to prevent any injuries. Wipe off any excess glue with damp washcloth or damp paper towel. I am attaching a 20-inch full extension sliding hardware to the door. I prefer this setup to allow room on the counter, and if I want to add something on the door, like a monitor for my laptop, I can do so without issues or accessing my bits. Now let's install the sliding hardware. Just follow the directions on the package, and then also making sure they line up really well and straight. I did have to get some help for this part. I flipped it over and I installed the second part of the hardware. Once the hardware was installed and secured, I flipped it over and added peel and stick wallpaper onto the door. This gives me a little bit more color, and it matches with my other furniture in the shop as well. Alrighty, now that the peel and stick wallpaper is attached, let's cut up some square dowels, 4 inches each, and a total of 12. These will be for the shelves. So I had some scraps available. They were between the two of them, the total up to 3.5 inches, and I used them as a spacer in between, adhering them with some CA glue. And if you want to, you could also use bread nail to attach these, but I went with CA glue and accelerator, which made it much easier. After I got the dowels in for the shelves, I used whatever was left and then secured it with some bread nails, and this became my door handle. I remeasured the area for the shelves again. This measured out to 10.5 inches. I'm keeping it at 5 inches in width. So I went ahead and cut a few pieces of plywood on the table saw. I cut up a total of 6 of these to make the shelves. And then I cut 10.5 inches with the miter saw. I used this shelving jig as a template and used the original bit to drill the pilot holes, and went over it with 1/4 inch bit for the CNC and the router bits. I moved the cabinet to the final location and attached it to the workbench with screws. I did also secure it on top as well by locating the studs using a stud finder. I had to be careful since there was also the mini split right above the cabinet as well. One of the things that I did add was also a 9-inch rechargeable light above. These have magnetic strips I can attach to the cabinet and also detach if I need to recharge it. I decided on 2 for better view, and they are sensored as well, so it will turn on when I open the door. All the shelves were organized, and I kept some of the bits in the original box. I kept a lot of the CNC bits together along with the original labels in case I need to reorder. The bits with the bearings are also together in a separate shelf. Here I am adding another 9-inch rechargeable light inside the cabinet. This is censored as well. Along with that, this will definitely make it easier for me to locate the bits. Here it is. It is finished, and hope you guys like it. Thank you for watching.